Okay, the purpose of this video, this is a half-hour to an hour-long Google CS First training, and this training is being brought to you on part of a collaboration between Pathfinders, Infosys Pathfinders, and Mouse. This training will be about Google CS First. So let's dive into exactly what that means. Okay, so what are we going to do in this time period? So if you're watching this recording, there'll be certain times I'll ask you to pause the video or skip forward. But a general agenda of what we're going to do here is talk a little bit about what CS First is in the first few minutes. There's going to be an opportunity for you to go through a CS First lesson as a student. And so that will be just kind of experiencing the CS First platform and the Scratch coding platform that we'll go into in a moment. After that, we'll talk about how you can incorporate some of these lessons into your teaching, whether you're across any subject, if you're maybe a computer science teacher, an art teacher, math teacher, ELA teacher, or a general subjects, how you can use CS First in any of those topics. And then we'll have a wrap up on the kind of logistics of getting started with CS First. Okay, what is CS First? So CS First is a free platform designed by Google. And when I say free, I mean actually really free, not some sort of system where you're getting some of it and you're paying for more. That's not what CS First is. CS First is 100% free. There are over 100 different lessons and activities. We'll take a look at an intro one today, but it is, again, 100% free, and I'll even show you how you can get a little welcome kit sent to you for free from Google as well. It is recommended for grades 4 through 8. I have seen third grade classes be successful, and I've seen high school classes use this as well, but it is recommended 4 through 8. And I will say, though, that especially in remote learning or hybrid learning, you do find some of the self-guided tutorials in CS First that we'll show you in a moment to be extremely useful across all grades, especially into high school. And it is meant to be a first interaction with coding and computer science. So if your students are brand new, if you're brand new to coding and computer science, this is a great place to start. But if you do have some experience, there's plenty of lessons that go on, harder and harder until if there's students in your class that have familiarity with computer science, they'll find plenty of challenging tasks here as well. CS First is aligned with some learning standards, national learning standards, CSTA, the K-12 computer science standards, and a lot of the lessons that we'll look at, and especially the lesson we'll look at today, is aligned with Common Core standards as well. On the Google CS First website, there's a great little table like this that we see a screenshot of on the right, and it will let you know, if you do one of these activities, for instance, if you did the gumball activity, you've hit this standard but not these other standards. So it's a nice, easy way to check off which standards you're hitting. And again, those are aligned to several different national standards. And computer science and CS First are all about making sure everyone has a seat at the table. CS First and Scratch, the coding platform we'll be using, can be used on any device, Chromebook, Mac, PC, tablet, iPad. You have no problem using this learning platform and Scratch with any of those devices. I have heard, though, unfortunately, it is not a great tool to use on a phone, but as long as your students are using, like I said, a tablet, iPad, Chromebook, Mac, PC, you have full access to all of the lessons and tools in CS First. On top of that, there's a lot of different activities across all different types of interests that your students may have: art, music, dance, video game making, ELA, math. There's a whole bunch of different subjects and different topics that are covered in CS First, so all students can find an interest in some of the activities. Okay, so now we're getting to the part of this PD where you are going to go into one of the activities as a student on CS First and experiment what that feels like. So going through one of these coding activities in CS First. Okay, so the activity we're going to do is the characterization activity. Now, the characterization activity is an intro activity in Google CS First, where students are introduced to the coding platform and also the tutorial platform. So again, we watch videos on and go through the tutorials in CS First, and we actually write our code in a different platform called Scratch. So this is what an activity looks like. You can see that the page here on Scratch, there's 4 different steps. Oh, sorry, the page here on CS First, there are 4 different steps. And students can jump in and out of different steps as they please, but we'll get started with step 1 here. I do want to also note that this activity, characterization, is available in English. It is also available in Spanish. So CS First has gone out and actually recorded these videos twice, once in English and once in Spanish. So let's dive into step 1 of this project. I have it open just in another tab here, just to make sure that it all loaded properly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us started at the beginning of this video. I'm going to make sure that I have subtitles on. I do. And so what I'm going to do here, this activity, like I said, has 4 steps. But I think a good way to get started with this activity is for, if you're working with a group of students, is to do the first step of the first activity synchronously. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play this video. It's 1 minute and 46 seconds. So let's just play it and watch it right now.
Hey, I'm Giselle, and I'm a proud Afro-Latina Googler who works with YouTube creators around the world. In this video, I'll give you a quick introduction to learning computer science through CS First. You can create stories, art, animation, websites, and music. Pretty much anything you can imagine with computer science. Computer science uses code. Code is just another way of saying instructions for the computer. There are a lot of ways to write code, but in this activity, you'll use a tool called Scratch. Scratch is a great way to learn to code. For this activity, you'll use code to show details about a character so others can get to know them. You can create a character, add their thoughts and speech, and move them around the stage. You can even add backtraps and sounds. In this activity, you will imagine how a character who is missing a school assignment might act. You'll choose your character and use code to make your character think, speak, and act in different ways to show who they are. Then, you'll show your story to a classmate. Your classmate should be able to describe your character based on the way that character speaks, thinks, and acts. Let's get started. Move on to the next video to have fun creating and coding.
Okay, so that was the first step of the first video in characterization. And if I just exit out of that video, and you can rewatch that video at any time. And I'm going to show you how to navigate to this actual project in a moment. So again, CS First activities. In CS First, we do have the platform of CS First, which is where your students go for tutorials and videos on what to exactly do in the project. And then one thing that I want to highlight the video covered quickly is this here. I just want to make this slide big. That there's actually 2 different tabs your students will have open. So CS First, again, tutorials and videos. And Scratch is the other tab, and that is the coding platform. So where we saw those blocks being clicked and dragged, the little characters on the stage. Your students will be going back and forth between these 2 tabs, and you will be going back and forth between these 2 tabs in just a moment. So this activity, again, is called the characterization activity. One important thing to note is that the end of each step or the end of each video, CS First tells you exactly what you need to do in order to move on to the next, before you move on to the next step. This is just an introduction video, so it's really easy. All we have to do at the end of this video is click the next button below, and that brings us right to step 2. And in step 2, we again have another video, and it's just loading for me here. But you have another video that you can watch, and after that video is done, if we skip to the last frame, here's some very specific instructions on what you need to do before you move on to the next video. And in this particular project, there's 3 different add-ons that you can choose from. So again, what you're gonna do in a moment is I'm gonna tell you how to navigate to this project. I encourage you to skip straight to step 2, but if you wanna rewatch step 1, you can definitely do that. After you've watched this video in step 2, you will do these 3 different instructions that are in this video. Once you've done those 3 instructions, you are ready to choose an add-on to your project. And I do want to stress that in this time period, I'm going to ask for you to, 1, finish step 2, and then try to finish at least 1 add-on before you come back to watching this video. So I think we're ready now. What you're going to do in a moment is you're going to go to a new tab, and you'll go to the following URL, g.co, so g.co/csfirst/pd. So g.co/csfirst/pd. If I go to that URL, I will see the CS First landing page. In a moment, you'll make an account, but before we do that, just to do this activity, you're going to go to the curriculum page. So top left-hand corner, we click curriculum. We find the characterization activity here, so I'll click into that block, and we can see the steps here. So you will go straight to step 2 and watch the video there. So again, that process is going to g.co/csfirst/pd. Then you will go to the curriculum tab, and you will watch video 2. And then you will add 1 add-on. At this point, I'm going to skip ahead in the PD. So I'm assuming you spent maybe 15 to 20 minutes looking at, going through video 2 and choosing one of the add-ons to put into your project. And now you are coming back to this video. So again, take 15 to 20 minutes, go through that activity, and then come back to this video. Okay, so now we're assuming that you have created these different, you've gone through step 2, and you have also created an add-on. You may have a few questions in Scratch. There are some great resources in Google CS First here for any activity, any questions you might have had in Scratch. So remember, the videos give you really good instruction on how to navigate Scratch. But don't forget that if you go into the resources page of Google CS First, there's things like teaching materials, and video trainings that could also be helpful while you try to learn how to get familiar with some of these different tools. Things like the Getting Started Guide, the Guardian's Guide. There's actually in this resources, teachers resources portion of CS First, there's even a certificate of completion, so nice little things you can print out or make into a PDF and send to your students. Okay. Now, if I go back into this slideshow, so again, you've spent 15 to 20 minutes creating the characterization activity. One important thing that I do encourage for you to do when you're ready to bring this to your students is to show off, encourage students to show off what they've created. This can be done in person or it can be done virtually. And what I want to stress when you're doing this process, especially in some of the earlier activities, is your students should share 2 things about their project. One thing that they were able to do, or one thing they were able to make in Scratch, and one thing they were not able to do or not able to make in Scratch. And that's a really important step here. We're encouraging a growth mindset. We're letting every student know that even if you felt comfortable making this project in CS First and in Scratch, there's still plenty of things you'd like to add or things you'd like to build on that maybe you just didn't have enough time to do or you didn't know how to do. I'm sure you're sitting there right now, even with that 15, 20 minutes you spent in characterization, and I'm sure you can figure out, you can relate to something you were able to do and something you were not able to do. So a very important step, have a few students show off their projects to the class or pair students up. Again, it's an important step and it should not be skipped. Okay, at this portion in the PD, you'll be registering for a free account on Google CS First, so you have access to the curriculum, the different tools and resources that are available on CS First. So I'll walk you through this process of how to get registered. And again, you can pause and skip forward and do what you need to do with this video in order to get that done. So the process of getting registered on Google CS First is as such. Step 1, you will go to the homepage of Google CS First, g.co/csfirst/pd. And that's a good URL to remember. Your students will also be going to this URL when they're ready to get signed in and ready to go through the tutorials. After that, you will, once you're there, you will click the blue sign in button. And after that, you will select that you are a teacher. A little window will pop up and you'll say, I am a teacher. And then you will connect this account to an email address that you have. If your work account, your personal account, it does not matter. Whatever you're more comfortable with, you will connect it to that email account. After you've done that, you will be on the dashboard of CS First. And if you've ever used Google Classroom before, it looks very similar in that you'll be on a page that is, it will show you all your classes and activities. At the moment, you would not have any classes. So what you will do is you will create a class. The little blue button will be there. You'll click Create Class. And after you've created a class, you will add the characterization activity to that class. So you'll click Add Activities. You'll add the characterization activity to that class. So that process, again, you'll sign into CS First. You'll go to CS First. You'll click Sign In. You'll select I'm a teacher. You'll connect it to an email. You'll create a class, and then you will create an activity for that class. So again, if you need to pause this video, please feel free to do that now and get registered. And you're registered. Good job. Okay. Sorry, folks, bit of a hiccup there. We'll be editing the video we'll be editing this video at the end here, and I'm probably gonna just cut out a little bit. Okay, so. Okay, so now, again, we're talking, after you've gotten yourself registered, you're probably thinking, how do I get my students on CS First? The process for getting your students on CS First is actually much simpler than getting yourself on CS First, and let's walk through that now. One thing that you can do is you can, on Google Classroom, create a new assignment and kind of walk students through the different steps of that. You can see the steps I have here. You can pause the video and make note of those steps if you'd like. But please make sure to use the correct class code, and I'll show you what I mean by that. The process your students will go through, and again, I don't want you to go through this process right now, but I want you to see this process for your students. They will go to the same URL you've gone to, g.co/csfirst/pd. Top right-hand corner, they'll click sign in. They will select that they are a student. Remember, we selected you were a teacher. They're selecting they're a student. After that, they would type in a class code. They would see a box like what we see on the right here. It asks if you're a new student or returning student. Now, assuming that all your students are new to CS First, what they would do is they would have to type in a class code. And let me show you what the class code looks like by going to My CS First. If I'm in CS First, here's my classes. This is my dashboard on CS First. My dashboard has a black background just because the settings on my computer, but yours might have a white background. But very similar to Google Classroom, if you're familiar, each class has a class code. So you could take the class code here, and your students in the registration process would be prompted with putting in a class code. So again, it's just a short string of letters and numbers that your students would type in. And once they do that, they will actually automatically be created a username and a password. And that username and password will work for CS First, and it will also work for Scratch. And that's a really important thing to note. If I go into Scratch here, if you've ever tried to get students in Scratch before, you know that it's very tricky. They have to create a username, a password. They have to connect it to an email address, all these different things that are very difficult for young people to do. But when they create an account with CS First, that same username and password, they can use in Scratch and sign in with that information as well. And they don't need to connect it to an email. They don't need to do anything like that. So it's much, much easier. And that is the process for students to sign into Google CS First, or get registered for CS First. So now let's look at the curriculum as a whole. Now, first thing I want to note is that Google CS First is built on Scratch, and Scratch is more or less a de facto learn-to-code programming language for students. I think it's a really great thing that Google decided to create tutorials and resources for a well-known programming language. It's very common for your students some of them to be familiar with Scratch or to use Scratch later after they've gone through your class, for instance. And it is totally free, this block-based programming language with blocks are snapping together on the screen, and it's ideal for beginners. Now, the role of a teacher in a virtual class especially, it's a lot of self-learning. Students are going through these tutorials on their own and able to, if they have any bugs in their program, they can always rewatch the videos, chunk out the videos and scaffold it on their own. But also, your role as a teacher is to help in the debugging process. Did students, what's going wrong with their program? What do they want it to be doing? These are questions you can be asking your student, even if you don't feel completely comfortable with the code that you see on the screen. You can always support your students by learning alongside them. I mentioned this before, but CS First is useful and can be applied to all different learning environments: after school, in school, at-home learning, math class, art class, music class, this computer science class, so on and so forth. And actually, the activity we just did, characterization, is especially useful for supporting ELA skills because it's a storytelling activity. I just want to go into the curriculum page in CS First to show you this next thing. And where am I here? Okay, in CS First, in the curriculum page. So these are all the activities. And so if you remember before, we added the characterization activity. That is at the top of the curriculum page. These are 1-hour activities that you can add to your class. There's a lot of them that are all really great, can be used as standalone activities. But if I keep scrolling down, we have multi-day activities as well. These multi-day activities usually take about 10 hours in a class. And when you add these to your class, Google CS First will actually ask if you want a little welcome kit, and I recommend getting that welcome kit. You can get it sent to you for free to your home or to your school. And those welcome kits, again, are only available for the multi-day activities. And I'll show you what one of those looks like in a moment. And so all the multi-day activities I just showed you, these are all the different topics they have, from storytelling, game design, sports, and there's more topics coming out all the time. So by the time you're watching this video, there might even be some more multi-day activities there. And I showed you this quickly before, but in the resources tab in CS First, there's a lot of great things for you, which include getting started guides, a class roster, curriculum, lesson plans, all things that are available in the resources tab. This is what you would receive actually if you did sign up for one of the multi-day activities, a little welcome kit about the size of a laptop, cardboard box that has stickers, and actually the answer book to a lot of these different programs in it. So it's a good resource for you, and you can get it for free. Excellent. So we've made it to the end of this PD. If you are watching this video, I do ask that you please fill out this survey that is on the top here, the link here. And if you're interested in getting this slideshow sent to you, or you want to use this resource at a later time, the link for the slideshow that I've been going through is also here, this bit.ly link. So thank you. And again, this video is brought to you by the Infosys Pathfinders Foundation, an organization I work at, Mouse, and also Google CS First. And now we will end this recording.